Hare Krishna. We continue to read from Caitanya Caritamrita. We are on Adilila, chapter 5. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We are on text 22. We have been reading the purport of text 22. I'll just read the translation. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who is tending cows, yielding all desires and abodes, built with spiritual gems, and surrounded by millions of purpose trees. He is always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. So reading from the purport by Srila Prabhupada. We heard about the Vaikuntha, how there's so much beauty there. And so the full opulence of the internal potency of Godhead is always resplendent in Vaikuntha Lok, where goddesses of fortune are ever increasingly attached to serving the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead. These goddesses of fortune, accompanied by their friends, always create a festive atmosphere of transcendental worth. Always singing the glories of the Lord, they are not silent even for a moment. So there's so much opulence in the Vaikuntha Lok. Yesterday we were hearing so beautiful, so rich, so much. In the aeroplanes, people have their private jets made of gold and diamonds, and the Vaikuntha Vasis look so beautiful and have beautiful ornaments, beautiful bodily features. And the goddesses of fortune, what are they doing? They are serving the lotus feet of personality of Godhead. They're always singing the glories of the Lord. Why would we want to sing somebody's glories? When somebody is really so worthy of it, we want to sing their glories. Out of love, we love them. And we love them. Why? Because they're so wonderful. So Krishna is so wonderful. The Supreme Lord is so wonderful, so sweet, that everyone loves him so much. And because they love him, they're singing his glories. Oh, he did this, he did that. So it's all coming from a place of love. It's not that these goddesses of fortune are, singing Lord's glories because of fear or because they're going to gain anything. No, it's just out of love. There are unlimited Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky, and the ratio of these planets to the material planets in the material sky is 3:1. So the material planets is 1/4 of the creation, and the spiritual planets is 3/4. So it's 3 times. The Vaikuntha world, the spiritual world, is 3 times bigger or greater than the material world. Thus, the poor materialist is busy making political adjustments on a planet that is most insignificant in God's creation. To say nothing of this planet Earth, the whole universe, with innumerable planets throughout the galaxies, is compared to a single mustard seed in a bag full of mustard seeds. So we say, I'm so important, I'm so important. But we are just one living entity on this planet Earth. This planet Earth is just one of the millions and millions of planets within this universe. And this universe is just one of the millions and millions of universes on the head of Ananta Shesh in this material atmosphere. It's like a tiny mustard seed in a bag full of mustard seeds. But the poor materialist makes plan to live comfortably here and thus wastes his valuable human energy in something that is doomed to frustration. Instead of wasting his time with business speculations, he should seek the life of plain living and high spiritual thinking, and thus save himself from perpetual materialistic unrest. So the proposal is, sure, we need material enjoyment, we need material progress, we do that, but we should also have some time and energy for our spiritual life. Don't consume all the time and energy for our material activities. Even if a materialist wants to enjoy developed material facilities, he can transfer himself to planets where he can experience material pleasures much more advanced than those available on Earth. The best plan is to prepare oneself to return to the spiritual sky after leaving the body. However, if one is intent on enjoying material facilities, one can transfer himself to other planets in the material sky by utilizing yogic powers. So it, again, another point of our individual desire, our individual independent choice. We are in this body for a temporary time, for a limited amount of time, and we have to give up this body at a certain time. And so where do we want to go after we give up this body? We want to go to the spiritual sky, or we want to remain in one of the material planets in this material sky, in which there is maybe more facilities for enjoyment. There's better, more beauty, more tastes. The food have more taste, the drinks have more taste. It depends on our desire. And Krishna fulfills our desire based on our qualification. So the playful spaceships of the astronauts are but childish entertainments and are of no use for this purpose. The Ashtanga Yoga system is a materialistic art of controlling air by transferring it from the stomach to the navel, from the navel to the heart, from the heart to the collarbone, from there to the eyeballs, from there to the cerebellum, and from there to any desired planet. So we are trying to reach other planets by spaceships, but the yogi, he can transfer himself to higher planets by his yoga practice. They can. We saw how Durvasa Muni, he can do interplanetary travel, Narad Muni, interplanetary travel. So there are devotees and yogis who can travel to the other planets. And the yogis, by the method of Ashtanga Yoga, they can go to any higher planet they want to go to. The velocities of air and light are taken into consideration by the material scientists, but he has no information of the velocity of the mind and intelligence. We have some limited experience of the velocity of the mind, because in a moment, we can transfer our minds to places hundreds of thousands of miles away. We can, right now we will be in our home, but the next moment our mind could be somewhere else. It just travels so fast. Arjuna says that the mind is traveling faster than the wind. It can go anywhere, any thousands of miles away. Intelligence is even finer. Finer than intelligence is the soul, which is not matter like mind and intelligence, but is spirit or antimatter. So the mind is subtle, it can go so fast. More subtle than the mind is the intelligence. It's more finer. That's the intelligence. And more finer than the intelligence is the soul. The soul is not material, it is spiritual. That's why it's called antimatter. It's not matter, it's not material, but spiritual. So when it's called antimatter, it doesn't mean that it is imaginary or it does not have a shape or a form. No, it does. It does. It has a spiritual form, a spiritual shape. The soul is hundreds of thousands of times finer and more powerful than intelligence. So that is we, the soul. We are more intelligence, more finer than our intelligence. That we are not able to recognize our true power. We, the souls, are actually very powerful. But because we think we are the body, we feel that we are weak and that we are under the control of our mind, of our intelligence, under the control of our senses. We can thus, but it's not so, because spirit is superior than matter, and we are the spirit. We have the power. So thus we can only imagine the velocity of the soul in its traveling from one planet to another. Needless to say, the soul travels by its own strength and not with the help of any kind of material vehicle. So the soul, we have that power to travel by ourselves from one planet to another. We just have to qualify ourselves. We have to learn the art if we want to go to a higher planet in this material world. The art is there of Ashtanga Yoga. So similarly, we can have a desire to transfer ourselves to the spiritual sky instead of to another planet in the material sky. The best to the spiritual sky in one of the planets in the spiritual sky, the Vaikuntha planets, the bestial civilization of eating, sleeping, fearing, and sense gratifying has misled modern man into forgetting how powerful a soul he has. Well, we have forgotten that we are the soul and that we are very powerful. We are just busy thinking I'm the body. All the time we are thinking in terms of the body, how I can enjoy my senses. As we have already described, the soul is a spiritual spark, many, many times more illuminating, dazzling, and powerful than the sun, moon, or electricity. So we see the sun, and the sun is so powerful. There's so much light coming from the sun, so much heat, so much power, so much fire, so much energy is there in the sun. We are amazed. But the soul, we, the soul, are much more powerful than this illumination of the sun. Much more dazzling than the illumination of the sun that we have. But now, just because we think we are the body, we forget we are the soul and how powerful we are. Human life is spoiled when man does not realize his real identity with his soul. Lord Chaitanya appeared with Lord Nityananda to save man from this type of misleading civilization. So the goal of human life is to realize that I'm not this body, I'm the soul. Real identity with the soul. And so Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, 500 years ago, they came to give us the easy process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra so we can realize who we truly are. It's the most sublime method for self-realization in this age of Kali. Srimad Bhagavatam also describes how yogis can travel to all the planets in the universe. When the vital force is lifted to the cerebellum, there is every chance that this force will burst out from the eyes, nose, ears, etc., as these are places that are known as the seventh orbit of the vital force. But the yogis can block these holes by complete suspension of air. The yogi then concentrates the vital force in the middle position, that is between the eyebrows. At this point, the yogi can think of the planet to which he wants to go after leaving the body. So this is how, by yogic process, the yogi who has mastered this art of yoga, he can gradually lift the life air, block the eyes, ears, nose, so that the soul does not leave the body from those areas. And he's fixing his mind on the eyebrows. He's fixing the vital force, the life air at this position. And then he can decide now, where do I want to go? Which planet do I want to go to? I'm going to leave this body. Where do I want to go? He can then decide whether he wants to go to the abode of Krishna in the transcendental Vaikunthas, from which he will not be required to descend into the material world or to travel to higher planets in the material world, universe. The perfect perfect yogi is at liberty to do either. So he has practiced his yoga to perfection. He's become perfect in his yogic practice. And so he can decide where does he want to go to, another material planet or go to a planet in the spiritual world. Any comments or questions? So we are advised in Kali Yuga, because we do not have such long lives in this body, our body, we barely have not even 100 years to live. So we are advised to become bhakti yogis, so that after we give up this body, we can transfer ourselves to the spiritual planets in the Vaikuntha sky, so that we don't come back to the material world. And the easiest process is hearing and chanting. Hear from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we'll stop at this point and we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol.